Hey, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here. Continue on during daybreak, and we're talking now with Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District. Now, on Friday, I told everybody that we were holding off on the interview with Dr. Apostle because we were all starting to digest what Chris Reichdahl, the superintendent of schools for Washington State, had said during his press conference, and then the subsequent 43 or 47 page document that came out from that. So we were given Alex and the school district a little bit of time to understand what was in there. So now, Alex, good morning. And
yes,
what was in there?
Good morning, Jeff, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I've read 27 pages of the report so far, and I intend to review the entire document over the weekend. But one of the things that was a little concerning was when Superintendent Reichdahl indicated that we would be returning to school face to face, and I just worry a little bit that might be misinterpreted by staff and students. But I think what he meant is that we're going to start school, and there's going to be a variety of ways that we will start school that are on the table, and we have our subcommittees that are working diligently on that particular factor. But I just want to let people know that the safety and security, the health and safety of our students and our staff continues to be of paramount importance. So anything that we come up with will be based on making sure that we have a safe place for our staff and our students to come to school. Very important.
One thing I did notice and listen to during that press conference was he did talk a lot too about based on where your county is at. And I think that leads into just what you were talking about with these citizen advisory groups that are area specific, that know not only the demo of the kids that are there, but the makeup of the teachers and staff, because there was a lot of, and rightly so, questions about, okay, all the little kids are coming back to school. That's great. And while we may not have necessarily seen scientific evidence showing that small children were particularly susceptible to symptoms of COVID-19, they very well could still be carriers. And as they interact with a varying age of teachers and then come home to their parents or grandparents, there's a lot of concern with folks that I talk to about, how is this all going to work, and is the state going to really kind of mandate everything that happens, or is the local control really going to be there?
I think we have, based on what I know as of today, June 12th, is that the local school districts have a lot of control in terms of the way school is going to begin within the general parameters, and in some cases specific parameters that have been mentioned in the state guidelines. So these are very complex issues, and especially, and the state superintendent indicated that we want school to start safely, and we want our people to stay healthy. But it's up to the individual school district to make sure that happens. And I can tell you right now, I've already had conversations with many of our subcommittee leaders, and we're moving forward very methodically and strategically to ensure the safe return of our staff and our students. And they've got a lot of work to do yet in a very short period of time. We've got about 80 days before the fall is upon us, and we've got a lot of work to do. There's no question. I also had some issues with the fact that we don't really know what our budget is yet, but the superintendent indicated that there's a good chance we're going to be funded appropriately, and that the legislature is making public education a priority. So when and if they meet again, I'm going forward on that basis. And hopefully we're going to have the resources necessary to maintain a very safe and secure environment for both our students and our staff, and be able to communicate exactly what we're going to do to our families, so they can be assured that when kids come back to school, they're going to be safe. When staff come back to school, they're also going to be safe. But there's a lot of work ahead. There's no question about that. But I think the document touches on a number of factors that are going to be very important to consider in our plan in the Shelton School District. And what's really great is some of the same committees and same issues that they were dealing with at the state level with the governor and L&I and the health department. We have subcommittees that correlate very highly with those areas of concern in the state report. So we're poised, we're positioned through our subcommittees. And by the way, we have over 200 people that have signed up for those subcommittees. So we have great representation. We are also going to be sending out a very comprehensive survey that involves students, staff, and families. And we want to find out what their expectations are in terms of health and safety, in terms of the instructional program when school starts. And that's going to weigh heavily on how we develop our plan or continue to develop our plan to open our schools in the Shelton School District. So we're reaching out to parents, to families, to students, to everyone, staff, to help us correlate the opening of school.
There are some alerts right there on sheltonschools.org that get you alerts for communication surveys and more. When I think about some of the things that you were just talking about, it kind of likens back to when we all started and continue to talk about McCleary and the different areas of the state where some folks in higher income earning areas have a lot of means and folks in rural communities, much like ours, have minimal means. And so as you talk about the budget and the way that the state is pushing upon us the fact that we're going to be getting back, when you think about your budget, is that the retention of teachers and staff, or is that just even having and finding money for proper PPE and whether or not each desk needs like a guard around it? I mean, where's all that money going to come from?
Well, right now, the main factor that I'm concerned with is to hold on to all of our staff, both certified and classified. And we're working very hard with the school board. We meet every Thursday at 4:30, and we're going to be coming out in public in terms of where we're at in terms of the budget. And our main objective is to not reduce our staff, because in our business, if you don't have staff, you don't have program, and you don't have the support that's necessary to support our students in terms of their academic endeavors. So that's the number one. We want to hang on to our current staff because we're on the road to doing some great things in terms of our academies and pathways. We need our people to be able to continue that. But you brought up an important point. In terms of the health and safety issue, I'm hoping that the federal government or the state will give us the opportunity to access additional resources to ensure the health and safety of our students. We have things in place right now that we will implement that are working towards providing the very best for our students and staff in relation to safety and health. But from all indications, we're going to need some additional support, and I'm hoping that's going to happen.
One thing that you have done over the years at Shelton is promoted the 21st century classroom model. Talk to me a little bit about how you see the 21st century model as it relates to social distancing and coronavirus and all this. The old school model of the kids in the classrooms, and there's 20 to 30 kids in a classroom, and they're all in desks facing front, versus what we've seen, like Mountain View Elementary become. It's a lot more open in areas, and it kind of, in my opinion or perception, it lends itself a little better to more distancing for the kids and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's no doubt that the school will not open in a traditional sense. And I really want to make that clear to our families and parents and the listeners today that school will be different. And we'll be monitoring a number of factors in relation to how we start school. You know, the virus, the coronavirus, we need to make sure that that's on a downhill slope and that it doesn't resurrect itself, because that would cause some real problems in terms of the instructional model. But what we foresee is a different schedule, for example, where all the kids aren't in the schools at the same time. We're just looking at all options in relation to remote learning and the traditional classroom model. You might have a combination of both starting out, but depending on the virus and where that's going, we may go one way or the other. So we're going to have two plans, two options. One, to open school up, and the second is, depending on how the virus reacts, we will have another plan to implement. So there's a lot of unknowns, but that's why we have so many people involved in our subcommittees, and those people are extremely important because we want everybody to understand the total picture and be supportive of how we start school. And so those subcommittees and the people that are involved in them are critical. And then the survey that we're going to be sending out next week, that's going to be important information as it relates to the instructional model in terms of health and safety and how we're going to conduct school in a different day.
Okay, I got one more for you here, and I'm going to have you put on your salesman hat a little bit. After the meeting with Superintendent Reichdahl, I saw a lot of comments on social media about, well, I'm not sending my kid. I'm homeschooling. I'm going to do the homeschool. I bring this up because registration is open. And if you're new to the district, you'll need to enroll your kids for kindergarten or a school there. So talk to me a little bit about, during this uncertain time, the continued benefits of school education, school district education versus potentials with homeschool.
Well, there's nothing better than the model that we left off with, where the teacher's in the classroom and all the students are there and there's that interaction. What we're going to come up with is a hybrid of that to start with. And like I said earlier, we may have to adjust depending on circumstances, but I can assure the parents that we will have the very best environment possible under these current circumstances, which will include remote learning, and we're improving in that area every day. We're training our teachers, and we're going to continue to train them through the summer so that we can offer the very best remote learning for some of our students. There's just no question that the challenges are many, but the Shelton School District is prepared to address those challenges, and we will provide the very best program for our kids and our staff. And speaking of registration, we have information right now on our website, and it deals with new student registration, and especially deals specifically with kindergarten registration and in-district and out-of-district transfers. So I'm encouraging the parents to really take a look at that information. That information is extremely important as we develop our instructional model. Very, very important, especially in our elementary schools where we're trying to balance out enrollment for a number of different reasons. So if parents and families would take the time to look at that website, it's on, all that information is on our website currently, and subscribe to what we're asking for, that will help us with a very smooth opening to our schools.
Dr. Alex Apostle, he said it, the countdown is on, about 80 days until we get to fall.
Right.
I know you are a very busy man right now, so I'll let you go and get to your next phone meeting there, and we'll check in next week sometime.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for your support.
Good to talk with you.
Take care.
Bye.